I'm going to show you everything that you need to know to create your own custom GPT using OpenAI's brand new GPT builder, no code necessary, for cybersecurity use cases. Let's go. This is going to be all codeless. So this is beginner level stuff here. And the stuff that I'm working on here is I've been experimenting with a bunch of different things. And if you're not familiar with this, so first of all, you have to have a GPT Plus account for all of the GPTs. And what GPTs are, this is OpenAI's new custom GPTs. It's basically a little mini GPT. It's a specialized GPT. All right, so you have you have Chat GPT, and then GPTs are like these custom special purpose GPTs that you can create yourself that they're streamlined. You can make them private. You can make them only accessible if you have the link. And then at some point, OpenAI is going to open up the marketplace. So if you publish it publicly, then whatever you create is available to the public. And then supposedly they're going to have some sort of profit sharing sort of thing to where you get royalties from the revenue generated by the GPTs that you create. So I don't know how that's going to work, but we'll see. This does not take the place of private local model things. So if you're dealing with sensitive data, I still would not put proprietary or sensitive data into these GPTs because that is going to potentially expose it to the API. Now, one differentiator that we need to talk about is when you are in Chat GPT, notice you've got the new interface here. It's black. And now you've got the Chat GPT plus your other GPTs. But when you use Chat GPT, see, all of your stuff here is saved. All your chats are saved. And you can go into the settings and you can go to data controls and you can tell it, so export data. Oh yeah, here, chat history and training. So if you have this checked, then you're allowing them to use your chat data for continuous training. If you uncheck this, they won't use it. I don't mind, but they will keep that data live for 30 days, even if you don't have this checked. Now, so it is still using the ChatGPT. Now, here's the thing. If you're using the API, like we have been throughout this course and like we do when we're using our own code, then that data, yes, it's exposed to the API when you're making an inference, but your chat sessions are not saved in their servers and your data is not saved. It's only exposed for that moment whenever it is making an inference. Now, for enterprise accounts, they do not use any data for training or anything like that. So it's all supposedly private. However, because you are sending it out there to an API, you can only take their word. You can't exactly, you can't be sure. So the only way to be sure that when you're creating apps based off this technology, that the data is going to be private is using a local model and keeping all that on-prem. And so we will get into that as we get more into the uses of private GPT and Ollama. All right, so let's get into real quick, how do we create, and you can see here, I've created a few things. So I've got one that I'm working on. These are all things I'm experimenting with. And I'm going to show you, there are a lot of people that are already creating GPTs, and there are people that are doing some cybersecurity work with it already. So it's really cool. So anyway, so what we have here is I've got some things that I'm experimenting with. And so I've got this one here called ThreatGen Copilot, where I'm creating an assistant for when you play ThreatGen Red versus Blue. And what I'm doing is I'm putting in all the knowledge for Red versus Blue, the game guide and all that stuff. And I've got these other things I was playing with, like Character Forge. It creates Dungeons and Dragons 5e characters, Dungeon Quester. And so let me just show you real quick just how these work. Now, there's a couple caveats we need to be aware of. Number one, so when a bunch of the updates that came out, so now OpenAI has the base model ChatGPT, and you can also use the ChatGPT 4 Turbo in your API. But it now, number one, it has a 128K token window, so that has massively expanded its contextual memory. However, they have doubled down on enforcing the message cap, so, or the request cap. So I know that before they really loosened that up, and I was able to use ChatGPT 4 pretty consistently, quite a bit easily, without any getting any restrictions or like cutting me off like it used to. Because of just this massive influx of usage now with the recent announcements, they have not only reestablished their usage cap per hour, but it looks like, I mean, they're doubling down, and it looks much less than it used to be. So that's something that is to be aware of. So, but if you go through and you start messing with all these too much, we won't get through the entire episode before we're capped. So just a couple things. So like, for example, if I go to this one here, the Threat GPT Copilot, I'm clicking on the wrong thing. I'm clicking on okay, there we go. So if I click on Threat GPT Copilot, so we have a couple buttons here. We can click on, what is threat gen red versus blue? So, it automatically has that information. I will tell you that it's kind of slow sometimes. it just crashed. It's right now they're getting a lot of errors. They were under a denial of service attack. So like it literally just crashed. It's just right now, OpenAI is having a lot of issues. See, I'll try it again. There we go. So, things like, how do I play? And what it's doing here, searching my knowledge, it's actually tapping into the documents that I uploaded for it. And so it's reading the game guide. And so it's using that specialized knowledge. So anyway, so there you go. There's kind of how these things work. So let's get into, well, let me just show you one more example. So like Dungeon Quester, this is actually pretty cool. So like, it's a little D&D quest, right? So I can say start an adventure, and it'll goes through character creation. These are all instructions that I gave it. So I'm going to kind of go through. I'm just going to say, you know what? Create a random character for me. I don't want to take the time to go through all this. I just want to show you some of the capabilities here. There we go. So we'll go through, we'll tell you all this stuff. Then it'll actually go through and it'll roll for the attributes using D&D rules, and it'll create an avatar. There we go. So it's going through creating this. All right. So now it will, first I'll just tell it looks good. So now it's creating the avatar image, and then it'll go through and facilitate an adventure, a text-based role-playing game kind of adventure. So let's see this and let's move on. Then I'll show you how to do all this. I'll show you some special tricks, stuff that I've learned. There we go. Created. There's the image that it creates, and then it's giving you, and it's spitting out the entire character sheet that you can copy, and then it'll start the adventure, and it will also illustrate the adventure as it goes. All right, here we go. Let's start the adventure. All right, and then it'll go through, and there we go. And it should illustrate it as it goes, but sometimes it doesn't work right. You can tell it to, and it'll do it. There we go. I'll play this later, but I'm eating into my 50 prompt cap here. So, all right, so let's look into how we do this. Now, if again, if you have this blurred out, this plus create a GPT, if it's blurred out, that means that you have to go into here, into settings, beta features, and you'll need to, and by the way, I think that the GPTs are going to take the place of plugins. So I don't see where you would enable it here. People are saying you have to enable it here, but I don't see that. So you may have to wait for this, but let's go ahead and look at how to create this. So we're going to go here. We're going to create a new GPT, and I'm going to create a GPT that helps me make sense of ICS standards. So I want to create a GPT that helps me make sense of ICS/OT cybersecurity standards. It will do this by using a combination of knowledge it already has in its knowledge base and documents that I will provide as resources. Okay. This will be a, and you want to give it as much detail, just a hint, give it as much detail as you can in this initial prompt, because it'll continue to ask clarifying questions that's going to eat into your cap. So this will be a chat / Q&A style bot with a professional tone. You know what? And it will, so let's see. I think that'll be good for now. What it's going to do, it'll now create, it'll help you come up with a name for your GPT, and then it'll create a profile image. Here it does. It has a little wrench, updating GPT. Behavior is updated. And so it automatically, it didn't come up with a name. So how about Cyber Sentinel? I don't like that. Does this name work for you? Do you have another name in mind? And it will also start to automatically, this is really cool. It's automatically filling out like 62443 questions. Also, you can adjust these later. And I'm gonna go through. I didn't pre-prepare these. I forgot to go through and make sure that I have all these documents prepared ahead of time to upload. So I'm gonna have to go through searching. But so I don't know, what's a good name? You can wait. We can tell it to brainstorm and create different names, but I don't want to, because I don't want to use up all of my cap here. So we'll call it, how about this? GRC Copilot. I like that, right? I like that. GRC Copilot. Let's use GRC Copilot. And it's going to put the name up here, and it's going to generate a profile picture. Come on. Takes a little while. All right. There we go. Oh, that's kind of cool looking. I like that. We'll use that for now. So GRC Copilot assists in understanding ICS cybersecurity standards. And so I don't like that. So all right, so now we have our base. Let's go into the configuration. We can update this later. All right. I like this. I don't like this. I don't like to say like there we go. Okay. So this here, this is the instructions. You use this in the same way that you use custom instructions. So we can adjust this, and this is kind of hard to see. So there's a little thing right down here. You click that, it pops it out. Now we can adjust this. And this is typical prompt engineering here. You can say, all right, so we'll say you are a cybersecurity professional with 25 years of experience specializing in GRC. And then here we'll go, so your role is to assist in understanding ICS/OT. It developed this automatically from the little question and answer that we started. Existing knowledge, so you will use your existing knowledge base and analyze documents provided, no, not by the user, documents provided, I forgot what this is called, provided in the resources. Let me see real quick. So this is going to be in the knowledge. So in the knowledge resources. All right. We'll just call it that. So in the uploaded knowledge resources to give informed responses, your style is professional tone. You should provide clear, concise. I keep misspelling resources. Like explanations, be able to reference specific sections or concepts from standards when necessary, while you can offer interpretations based on, while you can offer interpretations based on the standards. I don't care about this. You're not offering legal advice. So I'm going to take that out. It does that automatically because it's too safe. Okay. Your goal is to help users better understand and navigate the complexities of these standards. So there's a hint here, and I did this and other things. So you can put all of your instructions here, but you can also upload an instructional document, and it makes it easier to edit. So We can also say things like you know, currently specialize in ISA/IEC 62443, and I'm going to say this, specialize in the following. We can go through, it can be like, okay, so I'll do this, NIST cybersecurity framework. Every bit of detail and context we provided is going to help it hone in. One thing about all things ChatGPT and all language models is that they're so broad that people don't really understand, or some people don't think about that. Providing concise roles and details will improve the accuracy of your app, your model, and your inferences, because what you have to do is you have to tell it within this vast knowledge base that it has. You're telling it where it's going to focus in on, and it really does help. NIST CSF, NIST SP 800-82, I don't know, API 1164, TSA, so I forget what the direct, well, we'll just leave it here for now. All right, we'll start here. Okay, that looks good. And then you have here, can you explain? So I don't know, here, let's do this. We'll go, oh, let's do all these, okay. So we'll just do this for now. Let's see, how about this? Start a conversation. Well, let's see. Let's talk about NIST SP 800-82, and then maybe this one we'll say, let's talk about ISA/IEC 62443. Now, what we want to do is we want to upload files. I have to figure out where those are. So these are just conversation starters so that somebody that's using your app will have an idea of like where to start, how to use it, and that kind of thing. So that's really what that's for. You don't have to have these if you don't want, or you can have as many as you want. Let me go and find my 62443. Let me see real quick. I don't even have the most recent version, which I think they just had the new one. You can get in trouble if you like upload the 62443, which is a licensed document. If you upload it here and give people access to that, you might get in trouble for doing so. But for now, that's why I'm just going to use the one that's public. And so real quick, let me just go ahead and grab that real quick. All right. So it's going to upload that. So now it's going to have, and there's a new revision out, but that's fine for now. Now we can choose to give it web browsing capabilities, which we might want. We might want to give it web browsing capabilities. We probably don't need image generation, but we'll leave it for now. And then code interpreter. So here's an interesting thing. This is a hint that this thing has been in development for a while, because they no longer call code interpreter in ChatGPT. They call it advanced data analysis, but it's still called code interpreter here, which means that this thing has been in development for a while and they haven't changed the name, I would suspect. I don't think we're going to need to give it access to code interpreter, but we're going to, just in case. Maybe here, let's do this. Let's update the instructions a little bit to say, okay, only search the web if the answer isn't specifically found within your existing data set or in the provided uploaded knowledge resources. You can say the user can upload their own documents for supplemental knowledge when they are asking about a licensed document, such as IEC 62443. Okay. So let's do that. And then we will add another thing here that says, I'd like to upload a, let's say upload a standard to discuss. There we go. We'll do that. All right, let's see if we can, I'm not gonna make this public. This is only gonna be public with a link. We're gonna confirm this, and now we're published, but it's only if you have the link. I will provide this to all of you to play with. We should probably think of another thing to put there. So let's see how this works now. Actually, here's another one. We'll do this. Let's go back into here and let's go into GRC Copilot. Let's edit this and let's add another, let's say, what is GRC Copilot? There we go. That's a good one. All right, now we're going to save this. All right, so let's test this out. So first of all, let's ask it this one. What is GRC Copilot, right? So it should give us a good yay. Okay, so let's ask it the first. Let's see. I want to go back to the initial thing here. Okay, let's talk about NISP SP. Well, let's talk about this one first because we don't have a knowledge base here. I'm going to go back to somebody's question here. There we go. All right, I'm going to copy this question that somebody asked over here. Wow, that's a lot. It's going. Okay, so it said all this. Now we're going to say this. We're going to go, how do I secure the safety instrument system using 62443 against Triton malware? It involves multifaceted approach, and the ISAI 643 series of standards provides a comprehensive framework for this. Triton, also known as Trisis, is a sophisticated malware that targets SIS. So it talks about 6244321, begin with a thorough risk assessment. Then it talks about 3.2 and 3.3. So you might need to dig deeper into this to get more details, I would imagine. So yeah, you would have to dig deeper in here and say, okay, well, specifically, what are the requirements? You know, and this is all public knowledge. This is what it knows about publicly. So I doubt it's going to have specifics since it is a licensed document. Let's just say right here. Okay. So let's say, what are the specific requirement numbers / sections and wording for this? And let's see if it knows that. So it's searching the knowledge base. There is no 62443, so it's probably going to go to the web. Yeah, see, you're not detailed in the information that it has. Now, let's switch this to NIST 882. Okay, so let's say, okay, how using NIST SP 800-82. I meant to say, okay, ask. Oops. I did the full thing, but that's okay. So now it's searching knowledge base. It's going to find specifically the 882 references. So whatever documents you put in that, it's going to know. That's one of the things that differentiates this. So like, this is something that is going to kill a lot of startups that are building these private chatbots, because now anybody can build it. So one of the things, there's two things that are, if you want to build a business on top of this, like I am, there's two things that you want to pay attention to maintain competitiveness within either the GPT scope or your own private apps. Number one, the instructions that you give it, the prompt engineering and the instructions that you give it, and the data sets that you give it. So if this is data that is just publicly available, then anybody can create it. But if you have some specific and proprietary data, then that gives you an advantage. Now, for your own private apps, there's two ways that'll make you competitive with the people that are just going to be creating GPTs. Again, it is your prompt engineering, your proprietary, and keep those prompts private. Keep any good prompts that you have that's going to be part of a proprietary app. You want to keep those prompts private and hidden. Then it's going to be the level of data that you feed into it using something like LangChain pipeline, or now, and we'll talk about this more later in another episode, but Pinecone now has a framework called Canopy, which automates a lot of the document chatting process and pipeline for you. It makes it a lot easier. So it's all about your prompt, your proprietary prompts, your proprietary data, and how you're making use of it all. You know, my use case specifically is, you know, my auto tabletop. I got a little concerned when I was doing this and talking about, well, you know, does this completely kill my idea of auto tabletop? And it doesn't, because I have special proprietary prompts. I have a multi-agent based system. I have proprietary data that's going to make it work in a certain way. I'm going to allow the ability to, it's going to be easier to do the settings. But the biggest thing is I'm migrating it over to a private data set, so that people that want to use their proprietary or sensitive data to run these tabletops, you can, because I'm going to provide it in like a Docker or a virtual machine appliance, so that all that data stays resident and it keeps it private. So think about these things if you're wanting to create applications based on this technology. All right, so this is pretty good. So it says, while there isn't a specific section that directly addresses securing safety instrumented systems against Triton malware, the document provides a comprehensive set of controls and best practices that are applicable. Here are some key aspects. So you can start, it goes through that document, which is a very large document, and it pulls out all the necessary information. So you can start to ask it questions based on the data. Now, here's something that's interesting. Okay. And so if we go into our GRC Copilot and we go to edit this and we go to configuration, the documents here, okay, you can upload up to 10 documents. Each document can have up to 100,000 words. So you can effectively have 1 million words worth of document resources here. So that can be a combination of proprietary data, that can be standard documents like this. And then one trick that I use is, let me show you. So if we look at, I think I did it on a Dungeon Quester. Oops, that's not what I wanted. Explore, Dungeon Quester. Yeah. Should have called it Bow Dungeon Quester. All right. So I uploaded a document here called Dungeon Quester settings. Now, if you do provide documents, it's a good idea to, number one, provide documents that are purposefully labeled or named based on their function. That's going to help the model understand what to look at, where to look. And then let me show you what that document has in it real quick. All right. So let me bring this over here. Oops. Oh, okay. Man, it is really hot in this room right now. All right. So what I did here, so it's named Dungeon Quester settings so that the model knows what the document is for. And then I put specifically named headings in here. So this is the Dungeon Quester settings. And then I told it to, what the settings are, what to do, how to work, how to start the adventure, how to create the character sheet. So this could be anything. So what, any specific instructions. Now you could do this in the instruction set. And by the way, so this section here, come on. So the instruction sets here, you can have up to 8,000 characters in there. So you can provide a lot of instructions. And so you can really kind of choose to have a supplemental document or do your instructions in here. I tested it. It works fine either way, but it's just easier to edit than, I don't know. The thing is if you have like a large instruction set that goes more than 8,000 characters, then you want to use a document, and that's how you want to use it. You want to use the document and tell it, hey, you'd want to tell it to use that for the settings like I did here. So it uses settings.txt. So that's a little trick that I found. All right. So that's kind of the basics of how you would, over here, there we go. That's kind of the basics of how you would upload, how you use knowledge bases, and how you use this information. Now there's another thing here. Okay. So this is advanced. Sorry, add actions, right? Adding actions. This is where you get into, well, before I get into that, let me answer a question. So I ask, so who owns your private GPT? So what is to say the company changes the agreement, they change user agreements? Exactly. So if you look right here, it says use conversation data in your GP to improve our models. So if you check this, anything that you use here can be used and be part of their training data. Unchecking that, who knows? Then you also have here knowledge. Conversations with your GPT may include file contents, this here, that can be downloaded when code interpreter is enabled. And so actually they changed what that said. This used to say, they changed it. This used to say that it can be exposed. So any data that's here, it can be exposed. It may expose data. And so that's why it says conversations with GPT may include file contents. Okay. So it is possible that anything sensitive or proprietary here can get exposed and used in training possibly. But this is new, where files can be downloaded when code interpreter is enabled. So if you enable code interpreter, somebody can prompt it to download these files apparently. So something to be aware of. Now, who owns this? I haven't looked at the agreement, but right now the assumption is assume that you don't own the GPT. And you may own the data you put in here, but that data can be used according to this. So be careful about that. Another reason why GPTs aren't the best solution if you're trying to provide an app or commercially or whatever, just know that I would assume that OpenAI owns the GPT. So, all right, let's look at some other things real quick. So some other ways that other people have used this. So this is really cool. Oh, now I'm not going to get into actions in this session because we have limited time, but there is a video that they demonstrated how they use this with Zapier. So what this is how you can use Zapier AI actions. Okay. And it gives you full instructions on exactly how to use the URL. It's a RESTful API and writing instructions. All this is here for you. We'll do this in a session later. I'm just going to introduce you to it now. So this allows you to actually call Zapier actions from this section here. And so you can enter, they've updated this significantly since last time I checked it out. So you can upload your schemas, which was, they talk about it, your rules and your schemas here, and your authentication, the URL privacy policy, so, API key. So basically what the actions is for connecting to other APIs. This is how you can extend it with some proprietary information. I am actually going to see if I can use this with our red versus blue API and somehow extend this to give information on your account. I don't know. I'm going to play with it and see what all I can do. But where most people are using this is connecting it to the Zapier API and making it do things like send email alerts, check through your emails. And so one of the things I want to do next time is actually use the Zapier functionality to build a GPT that will go through your emails and search for potential phishing emails and stuff like that. So a lot of good things to look at there. Let me show you real quick some other areas where some other people have been using this. This is really cool. I literally just saw this morning and I was like, I got to talk about that. So this individual here, I guess they created these, but they created these things called malware analyst, threat bot. So this is really cool. I want to check out this one, the MITRE attack. Hey, there we go. Attack mate. So that looks cool. And what are the latest initial access techniques? What threat actors modify GPOs? Top 5 data. So let's check this one out. What are the latest initial attack technique? Actually, I want to check this one. I want to say, what is the TTP chain for, I don't know, APT 29? There we go. It's analyzing the data. I don't know what it's, wow. I was just curious to see what all it's doing. Ah, so they actually did have a document uploaded for the data. That's another thing too. It's like you can look at all its analysis and see what it's doing, and you can see where it's getting its proprietary data and all that stuff from. So, you know, nothing in your GPTs are proprietary or private. Yeah, so you can find it. I gave you the LinkedIn, but I'll give you the link to that anyway. Here, let's do this. Yeah, you got it. All right. Yeah, now it's analyzing more. I'm gonna be curious to see what it ends up coming out with this. Be neat if it can use DALL-E 3 to create like flowcharts or create a diagram of the TTPs. But DALL-E 3, it messes up the writing and the, man, what all is it doing? I found detailed information about APT29 in the attack framework. There you go. Now I would want to go back and double check these to see if it's accurate. If it actually, wow, man, it's going. So that's cool. Okay, I'll have to double check this to actually see if it's accurate. But there are tons of use cases for this, tons of GPTs. I anticipate a lot of people are going to be getting very creative with this. There we go. So I'm not going to go through this and verify it and validate it, but I can tell you this much. This already looks better, and it seems to be more accurate than some of our first sessions that we did doing some GRC using, I don't know if we did the sessions here or not. Anyway, so, but I have a session in my book, and we may have done, I may have done a video, we may have done sessions here, I don't remember. The GRC way that I was doing it, it wasn't that accurate and needed some improvement, and I was going to use the Sticks framework in Python to provide more accuracy. This seems like it is better. It does a lot better. So we will get into using Zapier functions next time, and we'll also get into some of the more advanced techniques using assistants. That's one of the things they just released was an easier use of assistants. Now, this is basically OpenAI's way to replicate things doing with AutoGen and some LangChain pipeline functionality, but we'll definitely get into more coding stuff next time. So, all right, buddy, thanks, and we'll catch you next time.